have worked in the insurance space. So anybody of you who's curious to learn more about the insurance industry, I'm happy to chat with you anytime after this session. And I'm very happy to be here. And congratulations to the entire team of FUEL set of institutes for a very well-organized event. Thank you.
Preeti.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Preeti Ahuja, having 20 years of experience in HR and work with major manufacturing and engineering industries like Larsen & Toubro, Emerson, Alfa Laval, Atlas Copco, and the list is on. But really a pleasure to be here, and I'm really looking for a lot of insights to share and learn from you as well. Thank you so much.
Ujjwal sir.
Hi, good afternoon all of you. I'm audible? Okay, myself Ujjwal Sengupta. I am from Reliance Jio. I manage the CSD HR function with Jio. I manage the CSD HR function with Jio. And having with myself a total of 25 years of work experience with various organizations like Hindujas, SPML, HHI. I'm very passionate about HR as a function as long as it makes an impact to the business. That's very, very important. Friends, you have to always think about business, profitability, how you are making an impact to the business. That's extremely, extremely important. Whatever you do as a future leader, it's very, very important that how you are making an impact. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. So let me start with Ravi sir. There's a huge talk about artificial intelligence. You might have been reading DeepSeek and so many other things. How, as an HR leader, you see a debate about manpower being replaced by AI and AI being, taking over a lot of things. So what's the response as a tech? You are a agri but a tech-driven company as well.
So when I started my career 20 years back, in HR there was a function called time office. I was in the manufacturing unit, and the work of time office was workmen were there. They did not have access to computers, so punching in their overtime, punching in their leaves. So there were many people who were doing time office work. Now, 20 years down the line, the role has become obsolete. Newer roles have come. There is a OD role, there is a compensation and benefit, diversity, equity, inclusion. There are multiple new roles which have come up. The trend will continue because AI, because of whatever, but the roles will keep evolving. Many roles will keep getting obsolete. Newer roles will come in. For AI, say ChatGPT and DeepSeek, what experts tell us is this is very, very early age of the development of AI. The newer versions will be very different from ChatGPT and DeepSeek. The final version, we don't know what it will be. So we cannot prepare for something we don't know. What can we do? We can be agile, keep learning every day, trying to understand what's happening in the market, and keep learning every day. So that's what will kind of make us relevant. Earlier, people would not even retire at the age of 60. They will be skilled and they'll be required in industry. They will keep working after retirement. Few years back, the age came down to 50. So if you lose your job in your 50s, it was difficult to come back into the industry. With every passing years, that age is coming down. That's true if you're not evolving yourself. If you keep evolving, then your premium keeps going up with years of experience. So my simple take, Santoshji, will be that it's difficult to predict what technologies will come up. We have to be agile, keep learning, and keep ourselves relevant.
Thank you. Ramanujji, we talk about upskilling all the time. It's a very related question to AI again. What is your take on how, in an ongoing process, because every day the staff is working, the employees are working. Parallelly, you need to upskill them and kind of educate them the need for upskilling. How do you handle in your organization?
That's an interesting question, and we've all understood this fact that, and we've read this book called Culture Eats Strategy for Breakfast, and behavior eats it for lunch and breakfast, So it's very, at the end of the day, all this AI, ML, we call this whatever learning experience platforms we are using, and the systems are getting very intelligent these days, and people are also getting intelligent. So for example, if AI was having a bot which screened resumes, people have started using AI to match the skills better. So every resume is good, So that's another intelligence which is continuously evolving, and hence the need for continuous learning culture is becoming very, very important. And that's the agile mindset which I said, I will relate to Ravish, that agile mindset, how quickly you resiliate, how quickly you learn. Because, the shelf life is hardly, of learning is becoming like, what we used to talk 3 years has become 6 months, but the mindfulness still remains, You do the digital learning, people, too much of digital learning. Okay, first of all, how many people are mindful here? Can I see the raise of hands? There's a syndrome we call PPMA. What is it? How many are physically present and mentally absent? That's a very important mindfulness feature, right? You give the digital learning, people will complete it for the sake of it, but you can never learn swimming as a correspondence course. There's no correspondence. You have to deep dive. And I think that structured learning has to take the space. Of course, mobility is the future. Everything has to be in your palm top, right? So that's very important. And of course, there are various ways like gamification and all of this which we are trying to make the learner's engagement very well, right? Of course, otherwise, that where you need to skip a YouTube video, right? So your content has to be like an influencer, right? So that content design is very, very critical again, right? And of course, measurement and all of it as we evolve. I think, what do you track? We are looking at academies as an organization where we want to see the strategic development to happen, right? Versus the pull. People are taking ownership of their learning on themselves, right? Today, we know, we call this principle in our organization called RUN. What does this RUN mean? RUN means reskilling, upskilling, new skilling. So run with run. That is very important. If you don't run, somebody else will. So building is what is more important than buying, is what we've said to our organization. And that is always the dilemma with the strategic leadership, which we keep fighting, that we have enough internal talent, right? We can groom them. So that's a conversation we are having with all of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. So over to you, Mehulji. I'll flip a little on the other side of well-being and mental health, because a lot of times on one side, employees are pressured to, meet their expectations, which is the need of the hour and company's need. But on the other side, we all are reading about a lot of debate happening about number of hours being worked and quality of work, some CEOs are saying. So how do you balance this mental and more like well-being of the employee?
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. So, see, first thing is there has to be a certain acceptance, okay? So when we are talking about not feeling good, okay, I'm not getting into different modes of, say, mental well-being or depression, but let's have an overall understanding that there are days when we may not feel good, and that may happen to the best of people, who, best of professionals, it happens to everybody, okay? The best part here is acknowledging that, something is, there's a gap here, we need to acknowledge, and we need to find out place where we could get a resolution to it, okay? There are matured organizations, I'm sure most of us sitting here in our organizations, we would be having something or the other where an employee can reach out to that source to draw some inspiration or to find some solutions, okay? So for in our organization, we have something which we call as TCS Cares. And as the name suggests, it's a very simple thing that if an employee is not feeling good about something, they can approach that team. So that team is a trained team of counselors. They will provide some real-time counseling. At the same point of time, it's like a 360-degree thing happening there. So tomorrow, if an employee is not feeling good, he can go and approach that team. If I'm a manager, I'm noticing that one of my team member, maybe is not performing well, and I see everything is on par, but yeah, there's still some gap. Maybe I would also want to refer my team member just to have an open discussion with my team. And again, this also is then kind of as a feedback being sent to the HR team. So as an HR, we also understand that there are some people out there who may need some hand-holding for a bit of time, okay? And as an organization, I'm sure most of the organization would want to give that employee that time frame to come back and gather their thoughts and start contributing again. Because for us or for any other organization for that matter, any resource is as important as anything else, okay? And we want to support that employee out there. So whatever we could do to bring him or her back to the normal way of working, we go out, whether that will include work from home or in fact leaves also to a certain extent. But that's what matured organizations do, where they do not leave the employees like that. And yes, of late, especially post-pandemic, we're hearing about these things, and these are true, by the way, because the workload has been increasing. We know we have got tight deliverables, stringent timelines, and yes, many times people are not able to live up to it for whatever reason. So yeah, even if it is a personal issue, even if it is a professional issue, first and important thing is to acknowledge that there is an elephant in the room, and how do we help it? So yeah, so that's what we have been doing, and I'm sure a lot of HR professionals here will agree that maybe that's an approach to have within most of the organizations. Thank you.
Thank you. Manavji, I'll just twist a little bit of your question. I would ask you over the next 5 years, what are the emerging trends that HR professionals are going to face? Because some of them are looking at HR as a profession, some of the students here.
Thank you. I think that's a great question, but if you would have asked me the same question in the same month of 2020, 5 years from now, I would have not been in a position to give you a response where we are today. So I can't exactly predict where the next 5 years are going to take us as industries and as corporates, but as you said, emerging trends, I think some of the things are going to continue to mature over the next 5 to 10 years. And I'll just pick a page from the books that earlier speakers have spoken about. So one is AI, right? Especially for HR. So far what we have seen is AI is maybe automating a lot of the mundane stuff that people do. The example that we got of timekeeping office to other functions in HR. But a lot of analytics and a lot of using your AI for, and to Ujjal's point, that we have to work with the business. So HR needs to get the seat on the table using the tools that are available to understand business more. One of the pain points that I see in HR in many of the places is that we are a little far from business, right? For rightful reasons, maybe. We do so much on people and everything, we don't get an opportunity to go closer to business. But one thing that is going to mature in coming years is that HR is going to be center stage in any business decision that we take. Be it an acquisition of a new company, be it starting a new vertical in a business, be it expanding to a certain region. HR is going to be center stage along with the other business decision makers. So technology and AI is something which is going to transform the way we do our businesses. As same example I gave 5 years back, we didn't know we're going to be here working from home and connected across the globe as workforce. Second that comes to my mind, which Ramanuj spoke about, is on skills, right? So we are going to see skill again, and what better time than what FUEL is announcing a school of skill management coming up. That skill is again going to take center stage, and the traditional role-based organizations are going to go away. And this will minimize the gap between what you would have heard about senior manager, junior manager, somebody who's a fresher, somebody who's a senior person, seasoned person. If you are able to upskill yourself even before you enter a workplace, and it is for everybody sitting here in the audience, nobody is going to tell you that you are a fresher, so you have to start from A, B, C. No. If you have upskilled yourself, you know something even more than a 3-year seasoned person, you can start from there. This is going to emerge in next 3 years, that the traditional ways of setting up a workforce is going to go away. And another thing that I see coming up is to what you said, wellness, well-being, and inclusion, right? A lot of companies even today talk about PWD, people with disabilities, having them into their workforce, but they are not equipped as organizations, right? We don't have our infrastructure ready to bring them in and make them feel included. Diversity, I'm so happy to see so many of young girls sitting here. So that's a testament that diversity is something which is getting ingrained in the way we are shaping the new workspace. This is going to be one of the key factors, including everybody in the progress that we take. And HR, trust me, is going to drive this, being in the front and center of driving all these initiatives I spoke about.
Thank you. Soumya ji, how can companies leverage internal talent to fulfill future skill requirements?
Thank you for the question, and that is in fact a very pertinent point that you brought up, because I think by now it is very well known and very well established that for organizations it's a lot easier and a lot more cost effective to when they give opportunities and promote internal talent as against constantly scouting the market and trying to poach people from other companies. The question here is that how can companies do it, and how can they do it smoothly, more effectively? So I was thinking about some of these, and there are a couple of points that come to my mind, certain things that I've seen work effectively in companies. First, I think it makes a lot of sense for organizations to spend time on having succession planning conversations and succession planning discussions. What I mean by that is the leadership team needs to sit together and discuss that what are some of the critical roles in the company. Do they have a pipeline of talent who can take on this role immediately in the near future and in the long run? If they have that kind of a ready pipeline, it's brilliant. But if they don't, or if it partially exists, there are pockets where it doesn't exist, then I think it's an opportunity where we can groom internal people, prepare them to take on those roles in the future. So that's one very powerful way through which we can promote internal talent. The other thing which is coming up, since we were discussing about emerging trends and technologies, so I'm also going to add something to that. One of the things that I've seen come up of late is some kind of what is referred to as the internal talent marketplace or the opportunity marketplace. So I think all of us are familiar with job portals, different websites where we log in, we search for jobs, and we sort of sift through a lot of job postings and apply to positions that we like. So a talent marketplace is a very similar thing, but instead of externally, it is done within the organization. So what happens is, inside the organization, whatever opportunities are available, not just full-time roles, but small projects, gigs, or cross-functional assignments, temporary assignments, any of these opportunities, whichever is available in the organizational ecosystem, they are posted in what is called this talent marketplace, which is accessible to everybody. And people can then, look up for opportunities and apply to the kind of things that will sort of align with their interests and their, career aspirations. Again, something that works well. And there's one more point that I would like to add. I think there is whenever we are talking about promoting internal talent, there is a very important role that is, played by the kind of culture that exists in the organization. So our friend there was talking about how culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? So we know of a lot of tools and technologies that I can talk about, but till the time you don't have a culture, a mindset where leaders and managers really believe in promoting internal talent, it's going to be difficult, you know. And one of the ways in which we can promote this culture is if we encourage managers to have more career conversations with their team members. So typically a conversation between a manager and the reportee or the team member is all about the job, the task, deadlines, appraisals, etc. But I think managers also have to develop a mindset where they start having more career conversations. So check in with their team members to ask, what are your aspirations? Where do you want to go 3 to 5 years down the line? What kind of roles inspire you? And then start coaching them, mentoring them to take up and start shaping them to, fulfill their aspirations. So small things like this, I think, can play a very pivotal role in ensuring that employees within the company are able to take up more and more opportunities.
Thank you. Preeti ji, I think this is a very important question. Of course, all the questions are important, but this is something we are talking over the lunch also. So what's your personal take on hybrid and remote workforce? And as a HR, what strategies you are implementing or you foresee in the future?
I think great question. Before I answer, I would like to hear from all of you. How many of you are looking for remote jobs? Imagine we are here for a hiring. Please raise your hand if how many of you are looking for a remote job? Okay. And how many are looking for work from office? I've seen like few have raised hand in both, like they are okay with even work from office and remote. So again, like we are in the same situation when we design any policy in the organization, because when we ask our employees and look at like today we have 100 or 200 students here. In organization we have 60,000 to 1 lakh employees, and it's very difficult to cater to every individual need about the work preference. So what we do, we collect the feedback, we do a lot of surveys, but again when we have to design a strategy, it is more about looking at how much as an organization we are ready today. So first point is start with, as an organization, whether we are ready being a hybrid or being a remote working environment. And that is all about, do we have a sufficient infrastructure? Do we have a technology? Do our manager are capable enough today to handle those situations? And that is everything looking together, we have to design the policy or any kind of strategy. You must be listening a lot about that most of companies are moving remote working, promoting remote working. Few of companies are going hybrid and few are looking for 5 days working from office. But it will completely depend on organization to organization. So again, like when you have as an individual your preference, organization has to look for a broader vision and perspective when they have to align with the goals and vision. So again, when we design any hybrid policy or remote working, we have to look for majority of people what they are looking for or whether it is sustainable or not. So again, like I'll give you one of the example in my previous organization. So it was completely remote organization where we had people working in global multiple geography, and everything was working very well. Again, why? Because we had regular check-in system where manager was doing a one-to-one conversation every week to understand how the employee is doing, how my team members are doing. Then again, there is a more or less, if when we provide flexibility, we have to again look at whether our employees are taking the ownership or not. Because when you give 100% ownership, flexibility, it's more about people have to deliver the results. So again, when we move from complete, remote, it is more about people have to drive the goals, they have to focus on the delivery, they have to take the ownership now. So again, like there are very different policies when we design for our setup. So again, like as I said, one of the examples remote, which worked very well because again, managers were trained enough to deal with in a remote system. And again, we have to look at the technology basically. And here, the another important is compliance and risk and security, data security part. Because when we have complete remote setup, we have to also look at the data security aspect. And then now coming to the hybrid and I'll say work from office. Again, here when we design these policies, we have to know what our employees are looking for. Because you have to align that what we are giving the best benefits, it is aligning with the employees, and what we feedback getting from the Pulse survey, that is also aligning with them. So again, we have a lot of collaboration, we have a lot of technology in place where people are connecting in a virtual setup and ensuring that we have a regular conversation. Today, like even our performance appraisal system, everything is like moved into virtual setup. But again, the important part is communication, how frequently we are doing the communication and how much transparent we are when we are dealing with providing the information to our employees. So again, when we design any kind of policy, it's more about how we are communicating, and every employee is getting the why, that why we are into hybrid model, why we are into remote model, or why today we are in a work from office 5 days. So that communication goes very clear from the top leadership team to entire organization, where everyone knows that what model we are in and what kind of flexibility we give. So one of the company where I worked, that was IT product company, and we never had kind of any attendance tracking system. There was completely flexibility given to all the employees. They can take their ownership to complete the task. Only one thing is there, that they have to deliver the task on time. So again, when you get a lot of flexibility, as you have raised the hand for remote working, you have to be accountable, you have to take the ownership also. And that is how we design the policies and systems in the organization, that we look at the progress, we have a lot of matrices in the organization, we track the progress and look at whether we are achieving those goals or not. So that is how we are working in companies today.
Thank you. Ujjalji, I straight away go on to the topic of diversity and inclusion. And as a HR, at Geo, what policies or how do you ensure that there is no bias and this is taken care of?
Very good question, Dr. Santosh. Diversity inclusion is a very close to my heart because that's my research topic in my PhD. I'm in my third year right now from Jamanalal Bajaj. It's really going to make a very, very impact in terms of the performance. Believe you me, when we hire diverse people, it is really makes an impact on the organizational productivity. That is number one. And it is not that myself I am speaking. It is the data which is speaking based on various research studies which has been done in the past. Whether it is PWD employees, whether it is we did a lot of correlation study in terms of whether male are better performers, female are better performers, different age groups, who are better performers in what age group. And believe me, the coming days, it is all going to be data, which will, you have to be very, very, you're all brands, you're all individual brands, and you have to sell your skills. It is not that your MBA, your PhD, your qualification, that is going to be seen. Generally, it's a common question of HR that what are you going to become after next 5 years. So gone are those typical traditional questions. What we ask nowadays is, what project have you worked on? Okay, and what is your analytical skills that you have observed while working on that project? Right, so friends, you have to more and more focus on project-driven assignments and enhance your skills of analytics. Very, very important. On the beginning of my session, I told that what impact you are doing to do in terms of business. You have to speak numbers, not English. So, in the business world, we all speak numbers. You have to be very, very, good communicator. Okay? In the beginning of this conclave, Dr. Ketan told a very important thing. The students have fire in the belly, right? So we all expect that, the energy level should be, excellent. We have to be very smiling always, whatever may be the challenges. As leaders, you are the face of the organization. So that smile, the energy level is seen in every interview, believe you me. And coming to the topic, what Mr. Santosh asked is how DNI, the end result is the belongingness. Are you having that belongingness for the organization? Do you think that this is my business? And when you're contributing, are you giving some value addition to the business? That's the end result of all our DNI initiatives. Whether we are doing a flash mob, whether we are doing this red house, green house, so it is all initiatives to make you feel part of the team, that you are included, part of this organization. But the end result of diversity inclusion is, am I feeling that belongingness? Am I being included? Is my opinion, sought before taking any decision? Right? So, summary, I will summarize saying that think data. That is very, very important in today's world. You have to sell your skills. Skill is the new currency. आपको बेचना पड़ेगा. You have to brand yourself. You have to advertise your skills. And that's what we seek in the industry today.
Thank you. And I'll not go through these questions now, but I'll just ask each one of you to share in less than 2 minutes, because a lot of these youth are entering the workforce, and a lot of times I hear that whenever they take their first job, they think it's very difficult, they keep complaining. So in your own journey, and in fact I keep quoting to a lot of youth that your first job is not your last job. It's the beginning of your journey, and you are going to struggle, not just in the first job, all through your life, but every step will be a learning. So I want you to share your own journey in less than 2 minutes, what you reached today in the last, some have 2 decades of experience, some have a decade of plus of experience, and that would inspire each of our students here.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Santosh. I was initially a hotelier. I started from very ground level, and friends, don't expect that after passing out that I will join only if the company gives me 15 lakh CTC. Forget that CTC element. I go for campusing in a lot of colleges. I face this question that what CTC are you offering? What is the mean and max? So, and also what level I'm going to get in the organization. Don't expect a managerial level, immediately after passing out. You have to hone those skills. You have to practice, and then only you can understand people. It's all about people's business where we are into. And the way you build a team, that's your success as a leader. How you can motivate people, how you're a communicator. So to speak about myself, I rose up the corporate ladder by learning, by upskilling myself, very, very important. When I joined the industry, I was a plain simple graduate. And after that, I realized that graduation is not going to make a great headway, right? So I did my MBA, then I did my course in XLRI, in HR, and after that, currently I'm doing my PhD. So at the age of 49 years, I'm still learning, right? So learning, never stop your learning. Learn something new every day. That's my mantra to all of you.
Good input. Learning never stops. Thank you. Preeti?
So I'll share my journey. So I started my career with Larsen & Toubro in Mumbai. And one thing till today, I have the one, I'll say, quality is always open for any kind of role. And that is what has helped me, because sometimes what happened, you join as a management trainee, and there is multiple assignments, multiple projects has been given to you. And if you have that open mindset, you are always look at something learning in that projects. And that is what's helped me to reach here today. Because today also I sometimes, along my with role, I do a lot of volunteering also. I take part in multiple projects because that again give me a lot of learning. And another thing I'll just say, asking question. That will definitely help you to give you more clarity. So something I have done in my career, that one is open mindset and second asking as much questions because that help you in your learning path as well. Thank you.
Yes, what do you-
Hey, hi everyone. So my professional journey is rather, I would say, conventional. I was a graduate. After that, I did MBA in HR. I got placed through campus, and since then, I've been working. So it is fairly conventional, and many of you will perhaps have similar journeys. But one thing, in fact, there are two things that I feel have helped me do well in my career. First thing is that a lot of times when we take up a job, we often look at what is the name of the company, how branded, how reputed is the organization, what is my compensation, etc., all of that. Trust me, one of the aspects that we often don't pay much attention to is what is the kind of person or individual who will be my manager or who is my manager in the role. Because trust me, you can work for the best brands. You can work at fancy designations and get all the benefits. But if there is one very genuine, authentic, and true source of learning hands-on from the guidance and mentorship of a good manager. So, and particularly if that happens somewhere in the early part of your career. So all of you are at a stage where you will start working shortly. If you join an ecosystem where you feel you're working with a manager who's very supportive, knowledgeable, is empowering you, gives you feedback, gives you responsibilities, and mentors you, trust me, leverage that opportunity, embrace it, grab it with both hands, because not everybody gets that. And it is one of the finest sources through which a person can learn. So that is my suggestion to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. I think a very valid point, having a mentor and continuous learning. I think it's coming from everyone that continuous learning is going to be the journey. What do you say?
Thank you. I think that's a very interesting question. It sends me back 2 decades when I started. So I did my MBA, and when we finish our MBA, we were always in that world of our own, right? Up to MBA hai, now we'll go and we'll transform the company overnight. First 5 days, I was only going to a printer to take the printouts and give it to my manager. That's all I was doing. And every time I would go to a printer, I would think, what am I doing? Because I had those visions in my mind or views in my mind what I'm supposed to do. I had learned so much. But that is where reality hit me, that it's what I thought about how the world is, it's not exactly same. And I'm talking about way back 2002, 2003. We didn't have this good an ecosystem. We didn't have internet to that extent to learn from all. We didn't have organizations like and colleges like FUEL. Cut to 2 weeks later, I was called by a TA head. He gave me a report. And this is the flip side of being an MBA. He said, go and work on this. That's the first time I was supposed to work on Excel, MS Excel. I mean, I come from a college where we only used to play cricket with computers in those times. Remove shoes outside and come into the computer lab. I didn't know how to use Excel. I went back, didn't understand for 4 hours, went back to the same manager and I said, sir, I don't know, can you help me? He gave me a stern look and he said, you're an MBA, right? You should know it. Now, this is the flip side of being an MBA, something I'm expected to know, I didn't know. Now, related to what skills you should have. What I did, I went back and I reached out to a guy who I knew was an Excel wizard in that company. He took me under his wings. He taught me, coached me. 3 months from that day, there was somebody walking in our bay asking for a Microsoft certified Excel user. That was me. In 3 months, I learned Excel to an extent that people thought I'm a certified Excel user. So this is why I'm sharing this story with you is find a mentor. There is no shame in going and asking for something you don't know at this age. In fact, that helps you. I entered that office with so much of flair in my head, was brought down to the ground within 2 weeks. From there, what I learned in those times is still helping me till date. Second myth that I want to debunk for all of you young kids here is, 3 years down my career, I thought again, something got into my head, I've done it all, I started a company. Did well for 3 years, but people say, if you are out of corporate once, you can't come back. I debunked that myth. I came back in 2011, did very well for 6 years. After 6 years, I again started a company in 2018. Ran it for 4 years. Our friend COVID came. I had to shut it down. 2 months from now, I'm again going to start another company. So the myth that I'm trying to debunk is that you only have one chance in corporate, or you should not follow your passion, you should not follow your